Isten Hozot, or Welcome in Hungarian. I'm your host, Maria, and you're watching The Spiritual World with Maria. The universal spiritual energy flows through everything we do, connecting all disciplines and people. Today, we talk about martial arts and clear up some of the misconceptions about this field and discover some of the values of these ancient forms. Among my other disciplines, I'm a professional psychic, published author, business consultant, and lecturer on many of the topics we will be discussing throughout this series. After our interview segment, we'll take you through some quick lessons on crystals and gemstones. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Sifu Rudy Cury Jr. is an internationally known martial artist. His knowledge and skills are in several areas of martial arts. Chad Taylor is accompanying him today and is one of his students. Welcome, Isten Hozot, Sifu Rudy and Chad. How are you? Now, how long have you been a practitioner of martial arts, and what got you started in it?
34 years, and I used to do a lot of fighting, so I needed the martial arts actually. But I actually got into it also for this spiritual discipline that it offered.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a long time.
Yes.
Now, Chad, how long have you been studying martial arts, and what form?
Well, I think I started out with like doing some of the basic ones that other people do, like Shotokan and then Jitsu. And I found Rudy maybe about 10, 11 years ago.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and he teaches a lot. It's very in detail, so I've been with him ever since.
Well, I do Qigong, and as we were talking about the martial arts earlier, it really is a way of life.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do you connect martial arts to the spiritual sciences?
Well, I keep it simple. I tell people when you're dealing with martial arts, even though most of us are lucky we don't live in that type of society where you may have to use it all the time, it's about the life and death. So even though you see people using it for sports, I've been in some situations where some of those other options where they came about, and when you face certain experiences, you realize that your whole life is a spiritual existence. And you start looking at things a little different, and then you realize what the tools you have to realize your being and actualize yourself. Martial arts became a learning tool for me because you made a lot of self-discoveries through the martial arts in terms of balance and energy and controlling your mind, which ties in with a lot of the psychic and meditation things.
Yes, I remember you saying earlier how spiritual ethics are so important in every field and that you definitely need them in martial arts. You were saying about moving ahead because of that?
Yes, because most of the time if you train incorrectly, you're not going to last long in the field. You're going to be getting beat up too much. And
you're going to be the one laying down instead of the one standing up.
Find, I was lucky enough to meet masters who really personified what they did. So these guys were older, and they didn't seem like they were able to do anything, but these guys were able to do some really fantastic feats. But they weren't braggadocious. They were always calm and humble-spirited, and they lived by the principles that your grandparents told you. They said the only way you would get to those kind of skills was to have certain personal attributes.
Oh, it makes a tremendous difference. Now, I know that you do Kung Fu and Karate and Tai Chi, and I was wondering if you could tell us what the differences are and how maybe you could show us some of the applications?
Well, the most martial art applications are basically almost the same. It's just a difference in methodologies. Like, say, for instance, karate deals with fast, hard speed, straight, linear, and angular movements designed to take you out really quick. In Kung Fu, the moves are just as deadly, but they're a lot more subtle, and they're harder to master because you have to master your balance and centering in order to make these moves work efficiently, and they also are accurate. So you can do the same thing with apparently, visibly, a little less effort. Actually, it's a lot of skill involved in Kung Fu, And Tai Chi is the one you see the Chinese people practicing in the park.
Where it looks slower
It's very slow, flows. It takes time to develop that kind of flow, but it's the epitome of what the principles in the martial art represent, where you a higher level mastery is minimum effort, maximum result. So that's where you see the little old guys, and you see somebody 2 or 3 times their size coming at them, and they go flying around. It looks fake to most people, but it's very real.
I know that you can actually feel the energy when I know you were doing something earlier, and I could feel the energy all the way across the room.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you were just moving very slowly. You weren't doing anything very extreme, you know. But really, at the other end of the room, you can actually feel the energy flow.
Oh, yes, yes.
So if you could do some demonstrations, we'd really appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, I'll show you a couple of moves in the short form and give you an illustration of Tai Chi, for instance.
Okay.
You take this.
Yeah. Ooh. Pull this off. We'll do little pieces of the short form. I'll do the second half, you do the first.
Thank you.
So you start off, and I'll be doing this other half of crosshand. This is just an illustration of what they call a Tai Chi short form. We'll do a couple of moves because it takes a little while to do it. He's going to be doing one half, I'll be doing another.
Now, is that the Yang style?
Yang style Tai
style.
Chi short form. And I'll give you an idea of it.
It's very fluid.
So you would ask what the soft, slow motions are for. Yeah, you keep going.
Right.
Yeah, I'll let Kat go through the motions. And then and how they're used. So why you move slow is to develop control and balance and accuracy, but also you're moving slow to accentuate your natural body movements so that you move from what they call the internal movement is you're learning how to move from the inside. So you have to relax and center, and then your moves become light and undetectable to the opponent. So it's easy to control. So say, for instance, in self-defense, the average way somebody defends is like they teach you throw the punch.
Right.
They basically block hard, strike. But what happens here
It's
is...
more aggressive looking, too.
Yeah, and it's also more painful.
Right.
But if he attacks me basically in Tai Chi, I just get out of his way by turning. So when you see the body turning, he comes in, I shift, and I turn. Now, you won't see everything, but what happens is I get accuracy. I use certain points of contact. See, that could become an arm break or forearm smash, or like, say, for instance, brush knee twist step is a block and a strike. But you don't really
And it's very
realize
quick.
it.
It's funny, when you look at it, everything looks so slow, and you see them doing it in the park and in different areas, but when you actually need to use it, apparently it's quick.
Yes. Then there are other styles we do, too. There's another style called Shin Yi, where most of the moves are done straight forward. Then you have Ba Gua, where most of the moves are done in a circle. Like if he comes in, instead of me beating him directly, I return to the side and sidestep him in different ways. And then every single step, like when he comes towards me, it looks like I'm moving away, but I'm actually moving towards him, and I'm always attacking his center line. So that's how you take the body off balance. But the good part about this is that instead of you focusing on hurting the person, instead of focusing on hurting the person, what you do is you learn to control the person. So at some point you don't have to hurt an opponent. And I've been in situations where you actually can turn an enemy into a friend when they realize you're having mercy on them.
Yeah, I remember, I think you said that you started out actually as street fighting.
Yeah, I came up
and
in
then
the rough
you
neighborhood.
developed in
And I was fighting, and then I got to the point where I was able to fight so well it got boring.
Now, I know that you have some DVDs coming out, and if somebody wanted to contact you about finding out about more of the martial arts or your classes or your products, how would they contact you, and could you tell us a little about that?
They could go to PayPal and just send a payment to scribesearcher@yahoo.com, or call me at 347-605-9605. Also, if you go on YouTube, I have about 50 videos up there.
I've seen some of them. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
They're wonderful teaching lessons, and I just love the way they came out. Okay. Now, I was wondering also, I've heard that Tai Chi is considered the mother, and Xing Yi is considered the son, and Bagua is considered the daughter. Now, I know there are misconceptions about that. Could you clear some of that up for us?
Well, in Chinese martial art history, there's a lot of confusion and misconceptions on a lot of things. In principle, a lot of the martial arts have common concepts and principles, and some people say it the other way around. They say that the Xing Yi and the Bagua are older and the Tai Chi evolves from those styles, or whether it came from the harder styles. It's really just the way people sometimes line things up to make them simple, but they are all three separate arts that have nothing to do with each other beyond the way they use their techniques. They're similar in principles, and the way they do it is...
Well, that's fantastic to know, because there were so many misconceptions about it. You know. Now, I just want to thank you both for coming, and I would love to have you back on the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you ever wondered what crystals to use and why, and where they actually get their power? Stay tuned for the Spiritual Corner coming up next. Don't go away.